Hey, welcome back to Steve Reads a Comic. What's up, fellas?
Hey, how's it going?
Good day.
How you doing?
Good day.
Good day, mate. Good day, mate. Top of the morning to you.
So, yeah, back with another episode. What's the day? April 21st, day after 420 day, dude.
Did you smoke up yesterday?
Yeah, I smoked all the weed yesterday. It's all gone.
What does 420 mean? I still don't understand.
I think it goes back to a code, like a police code for smoking weed. What? Why now? Why now? Oh, because Logan's home now. Hello, Logan. Please come and sit with the dogs. Hurry. We just started the podcast and the dogs are losing their shit. Come and sit with your little brothers. Anyway, so I think it goes back to like a police code. Like Van Halen had that album 5150. 5150 meant like what they would call when they had like a crazy person, the cops, they would call it got a 5150 Hollywood and Vine or whatever. So I think 420 might have been 187 420. I think that's where it originated, if I remember from the 90s, how that got started. And now it's like almost like a legit fucking holiday. I swear to God, there's like greeting cards at this point. It's ridiculous. Like even our local pizza place was like, hey, we're open today. Whatever you're doing. Like they weren't like, they were obvious, but they weren't obvious. It was like they didn't say it. They weren't overt.
They're like, come on, man. You know you got the munchies.
They're like, hey, well, yeah, whatever you're doing today, we can help you out. We can hook you up.
Why can't they just say
pizza pie? Some places do. I don't know.
It's about to be legalized here soon, so it's only a matter of time. Just start saying it.
So it's legal here you have to get a prescription. So
it's legal, but you can't get an abortion.
Right.
Somebody can rape you, but you can light up.
So
unbelievable.
I'm not sure that those are comparable. I would equate it more with alcohol. But alcohol's been legal a long time. Weed should have been legal before alcohol. It's like the old Bill Hicks bit, man. You go to a sports game, you see two guys fighting in the stands. Are they high or are they drunk? They're fucking drunk. Like you get in a car accident, you're high. It doesn't matter. You were only going 7 miles an hour. So
merely a fender bender.
Right.
And then you're so high, you're just like panicked. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God. Now, if you're drunk and high, then that's another scenario.
So, alcohol outweighs anything. That's a fact.
That's the one that's legal though. It's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because you could just drink it. Like, you don't have to light it up. You don't have to fucking start cooking shit on a spoon and then inject it into your veins in front of people. So it's a little bit more socially acceptable way to imbibe it.
It's more pleasing to the eye. And if you smoke, you're not getting smoke in somebody's face or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to beat them up.
And get vomit all over them.
Right.
But
yeah, it's an easier one to, unless you're Motley Crue. In that case, you also shoot up bourbon or whatever the hell they were doing.
In front of everyone.
They're just like, I'm going to inject Jack Daniels into my veins. It's fine.
Shout at the devil.
Yeah, so a little bit of comic related news. So a while ago, a deal had been reached with Jeff Smith, the creator of the comic book Bone, to have a Netflix series. That Netflix series has been canceled with the recent shakeup at Netflix. So that sucks. I guess they posted like a big loss or whatever.
Yeah,
they lost customers for the first time in like 20 years or something.
Right.
There ain't nothing on
these price hikes, though. It couldn't be the price hikes that they're doing all the goddamn time. God forbid they look at that. Maybe they shouldn't have. Dude, I was looking at it because I was literally. This is gonna sound stupid, but I was like one of the first people with streaming Netflix. And I'm like, how far back did that go? Because the first thing I had it for was the Xbox 360, and when it got offered to me, I was like, oh, cool. I don't know what this is. So I had Netflix already with the discs in the mail thing.
Yeah, I did.
We're going to offer this streaming service if you have an Xbox 360. We're going to like beta test it and everything. I was like, sweet. and their movie selection was like horrible. It was really funny. I don't even know if they had TV shows, but like I did find some cool movies on that. That's where I first saw Eagle versus Shark, which has Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords in it. It's actually a very funny movie. But it was just cool to stream movies over the internet. And this was 2008, it turns out. I looked it up. It's 2008. I've been a customer since 2008. I swear to God, the price started off at like $7 or $8. It's up. My bill's up to $20 now. It is more than doubled. It's like, hello.
How was the streaming back then? Like, did it buffer when you were watching? Do you remember?
I don't remember it being bad. We always had like whatever the highest tier internet, we always had that. So it was,
okay.
I don't remember it ever being an issue. But I don't remember even like if they were streaming in high definition though. I don't know if they were. I think they were, because I remember when it came, the app came to the Wii couldn't stream in high definition. So some stuff was in HD. I don't remember any issues with it. Nothing really stood out. The main thing that this stands out to me was the lack of content that they had back then. So they've really grown a lot since then, but their prices really reflect it too. And then you compare it to, like Disney Plus or even HBO Max is $15 no matter what. That includes 4K. I pay $20 to get 4K for my Netflix, but you could pay less than that. They have different tiers. But they're the only service that charges extra for 4K. Disney Plus 4K, HBO Max doesn't have a lot of 4K content, but they still have like the Batman movie that just came out. That's in 4K, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision. Hulu has 4K.
Well, I think there's all the competitors now. Back then it was just Netflix, and now everybody's getting into this and taking some of their business. That's why it's weird that their
price keeps going up to me, because it's like
right.
it was cheaper when they were the only ones doing it. And now that there's competition, Disney went up to like what, $8 a month, big whoop. They're like, yeah, and I'm like, man, I got to downgrade my thing to just HD and save like $4 or $6 a month or something. And I'm like, oh, it's not that much. But then I'm also like $20. So I just keep going back and forth and keep paying the bill.
Are you
HBO Max? I think is the best for the programming you get and the price. I think that's like $18. Because I watch a lot more on HBO Max.
It's $14.99.
$14.99. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think for the content and the price, I seem to watch a lot of HBO Max. Like if I can't find something, I can always find something on HBO Max to watch.
Yeah.
Plus, I like John Oliver. Every once in a while, I watch Bill Maher, but
yeah, the quality is better.
They got a lot of documentaries that are pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like Netflix, I went on Netflix the other day, and man, I can't find anything I want to watch.
Netflix is great for kids, man. They got a lot of kids.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it's great. Maggie likes it because they have tons of true crime stuff on there, documentaries and stuff. She likes all that stuff. HBO has a lot of that stuff too. But that stuff, every app has that, I swear, because it's so cheap to produce and to make. So it's an easy investment to do the true crime things. They just came out with the John Wayne Gacy one on Netflix. And I'm in a group chat with my wife and a bunch of her friends, and they're all excited.
What was that?
Murder.
What was that? That serial killer show with man, it was good. It was only like 2 seasons or 1 season. It had the guy that played in the Matrix, that played Smith.
Hugo Weaving?
No, the newest Matrix. Sorry.
Oh,
Matrix 4.
I don't know that guy. I forgot. I got all that out of my mind.
Jonathan something. It was a real good series. It was about. It wasn't a documentary. It was an actual show, and it was about an FBI agent, and he would talk to the serial killers. Oh man, what was that? That was good. Mindhunter. That was it. Did you watch that?
I watched some. Maggie, I think, watched all of it.
It was really good, and then it's like it just stopped.
Wasn't that a movie with LL Cool J? Mindhunter. I thought that was it. I thought that was a movie.
Probably,
possibly.
Yeah, that was good.
Anyway, yeah, it was really good.
And you like you like that crime stuff?
I don't like that crime stuff. But that one was really good.
Okay. Yeah, I just I don't feel good when I watch those shows. So I'm like,
So you don't like the true crime. I remember the only one that actually made me feel like anxious, and I think it was actually when Maggie did a podcast on it. Was that Richard Ramirez? Like that dude was like just pure evil, man. Just breaking into homes, raping old women and shit. Like it was like nuts what this dude was doing.
yeah, I don't want to watch.
He got away with it for all. Yeah, and like just hearing her talk about it, I was like, no thanks. Like,
if
I don't like it.
If it's if it's like
what he was literally like he'd break into a house, or maybe I'm getting. I've heard so much of this stuff. There's one guy break into a house, like tie up the husband at gunpoint, and then like rape their wife next to him in bed and stuff. I'm like, Yeah, it's like this is horrible.
Meanwhile, like, your wife's popping popcorn.
Yeah, she's just like, this is crazy. You believe this stuff? And I'm just like,
yes.
I don't like it.
I can't.
Don't like it.
Does that make you fear for yourself? Like, don't piss off Maggie one day because she knows how to do it.
No,
she knows.
I mean, it's literally just entertainment, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Men and women find different things entertaining.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of women like that murder stuff.
Yeah, it is very popular with women, especially.
Maggie's the only one I know.
Oh yeah, Maggie
really?
loves it. All her friends love it. I think that's how
Kristen like it.
Yeah, she don't mind that stuff. Yeah, she likes the reality TV shows more than that, but she can watch that.
Maggie's all about it. She eats that shit up.
Yeah, I've never seen someone like as much.
Very
as she
popular.
Would. I mean, just with the podcast, she always had something.
Well, like I said, all her friends.
I didn't know there were that many.
Oh, dude, there's so many. Yeah, murder podcasts and.
Yeah, I didn't know that there were that many either until your guys did that podcast.
And I'm over here and I'm like, I don't really want to talk about that. That doesn't enhance my day in any way, shape, or form. Women will read that shit like, and then he tied up her husband and raped her 4 times in front of him. 4 times. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what the entertainment value is here. I'm just very paranoid. I'm gonna go buy a bunch of guns now.
Does she have like hot toys of famous mass murderers?
Just put them on the shelf.
John Wayne Gacy.
She's got trading cards. Got a calendar, serial killer of the month.
Speaking of crime, I got my truck broken into this week.
Your work truck or your personal truck?
No, my work truck. They stole my chips, man. I was in there. I was in my Dollar General account, and I was just sitting there working, and I was listening to a podcast or something, and the lady taps on my back. She's like, I think there's somebody taking chips off your truck. I was like, oh, really? Let me turn around. And I'm like, this guy, like my Frito-Lay's gondola is right. It's the first one. It's aisle number 1. So this guy didn't even care. He just was like, he saw me working, and he's just like, I'm going to he broke the window in the truck, slid the door open, got about $200 worth of chips. And I wouldn't even know. He probably could have got all the chips on my truck, but that lady wouldn't have saw him. So I turned around.
Did he have a car? Like, did he have a car to put it in?
He had a SUV, and he was sitting out there. And I turned. I started looking, so he stopped, and then I walked out. I walked out and started going towards my truck, and then he got in his car and drove off real fast.
Did you get his license plate or anything?
No, I tried. That was the first thing I looked at, but it was temporary tags, and there was all small. I couldn't see it.
Yeah,
so, but my buddy found my chips because they've been going up and down the area, robbing just not me, but other employees. And my buddy found my chips in one of his stores. I guess they've been selling it to some of the store owners, and the store owners have been buying them on the cheap, So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So they canceled that dude's account that was buying stolen merchandise and stuff.
Nice.
So wait a minute. So he had an account, and he had an account with you guys, and he was buying like bootleg Fritos.
Well, yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, we've been having
Fritos.
We've been having trouble getting product lately, So some of the store owners are getting kind of frustrated, but like it's not just that store; it's everywhere, Like
right.
What these people don't seem to get it through their heads. So yeah,
Right.
he probably was just like, oh, this guy's got a bunch of product and he wants to get it off his hands for cheap. You got to
Jesus.
damn well know it's stolen because you can't just be some
they
guy.
absolutely know.
Yeah.
They 100% know.
You can't
they
just
know
walk
who the
up.
Frito-Lay guy is.
Right.
Dude, the ounce of Frito-Lay is more than the ounce of gold right now. That's why.
Yeah. They keep raising the prices. I was like, we're just going to keep getting broken into even more if they keep raising the price, man. Nobody can afford to buy a bag of chips.
Is that true, Rob, or is that just a good joke?
No, I just.
That's hilarious. I believe it. I do. It's like $5 for a bag of Cheetos this big now. It's like literally. I'm like, dude, this used to be like the 25-cent bag. Why is it $5 now?
They're raising the price again. It's going up. It's going to be like $5.29 for a bag of fucking Doritos.
Jesus Christ.
And then when we raise the price, then all the other vendors, start raising their prices. And it's like, that's why, dude, you sent me that article about the Arizona tea guy who he refuses to raise his price. He's like, I'm going to keep these cans at 99 cents. Dude, I started buying his shit after you sent me that article. I was like, thank you, dude. I was like, that's awesome. Like he's taking personal losses. Priced,
that means the store is marking them up, not him. Like, I'm saying, because I've seen them where they'll put a different sticker over that 99. That's
I checked that too. It was just the tax, It was like 109 or something like that. Because stores do that all the time, man. Like, they'll mark shit way up. But I was like, cool, man. I was like, I want to support someone
or the
like
cost.
that.
Have I told you the story about the Costco hot dog combo or whatever?
No, I don't think so.
Logan told me about it, and I looked it up. And apparently, they you get a Costco membership. They have like that little cafeteria area, and it's like a hot dog and a drink or something, like $1.49 or something like that. It's been like that since the 80s. And like this guy, the CEO or owner, I forget who it was. You remember, Logan? The CEO that like somebody wanted to raise the price, like the board or whoever wanted to raise the price. And literally the CEO was like, if you raise the price, I will fucking kill you. So like, that was literally like, he's like, I will kill you. He's like, that has always been the price. It will stay $1.49. And so
like,
it's still
I've been watching murder documentaries. I know how to do it. I will kill you.
But he like literally threatened to kill somebody if they raise the price of the hot dog.
Meanwhile,
combo.
They raise your membership price.
Right.
Right. All this, anything else, the hot dog is off limits though. Everything else can go up. The hot dog, he's like, I will fucking.
Nobody
kill you.
eats like 20 hot dogs, so
no.
It's like, we got to raise the membership, but you get $1.50 hot dog.
Dude, those are some ginormous hot dogs though. For that price, it's like that. They're good. They're big. They're good.
Pizza's pretty good too, man. It's decent.
Yeah. And I thought that was amusing, and that's what that Arizona thing made me think of. But that's some, especially with corporations. Like I understand smaller businesses have to raise prices, but like corporations don't. Corporations that are making literally millions and millions of dollars, they can just take a less profit. It's different if you're a local restaurant and your profit margin is a lot smaller. That's something different. But when you're a giant corporation and people are getting multi-million-dollar bonuses every year, it's like, you can just eat it for now. Yeah. You don't have to pass that on.
They're like, well, we're raising the prices because we just got a raise recently. And they're like, we're raising the prices so you guys can get your raise and to pay for we're moving into a new building. So they're like, we're paying for the new building. I was like, I get my money based on sales plan. If I don't hit my plan, I don't get my money. So a raise doesn't do me any good if nobody's buying the fucking chips,
Right.
It's like,
right. Or if the chips aren't available. For production supply issues.
That too, which we're still having problems with. It's just
like, I can't believe people are scalping
the greed is so fucking obvious. Like they don't even try and mask it anymore. Like they just like, we will make profits.
Yeah, we gotta. Everybody always wants to show growth. It's like, stop it. That's not realistic. You can't just show growth every fucking year you exist. That makes no fucking sense.
Yeah,
it's illogical. That's why there's inflation, because every company wants to show growth. It's fucking insane. It's like you can level off and be okay.
Yeah, you got to make more profits than you did the last year.
Yeah, it's always got to be higher. Oh,
I
we
was
got to do
like,
more.
I don't think that's sustainable, but whatever.
And it's always fun, the discrepancy too between the like profit percentage. Like if they, did 8% more this year than last year, they're not giving 8% raises though. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
it's like
right,
interesting how that works.
right.
It's like, oh, you still get 3% or 2.5% or whatever the fuck. We
Yeah.
did, 8%, which is 8%. So, it's a good healthy increase, but it's not impossible at all. It's actually, fairly common. 6 to 8%. Above 8% is really high. But yeah, the employees' pay doesn't go up that much. So I wonder. Oh, but your bonus went up 8%. That's interesting. I see where that goes now.
Dude, there's the veil has been lifted, and people are still like, yeah, that's all right.
Right.
But you gotta show the the investors,
Right.
because you have so much stock in the stock market compared to
Right.
like
Right.
all the
Yeah.
rich people.
Shit, should have started buying stock when I first got this job.
All right. So what else did I want to talk about? I did watch the Batman again.
Oh
It took me
yeah,
about 3 tries to get through it.
talk about
Second
that.
time. So, it's so weird because, dude, it's like 50% of a good movie. And I don't mean like the front end or the back end. It's just like certain parts of it are really good. Other parts of it, especially on second viewing, I'm like, oh, Jesus, they could cut all this down. Like that part where he's like spying on her roommate and Catwoman and her roommate. Like that whole scene could have been, that's 5 minutes they could have cut there. There's all these little bits and pieces, like, including that whole storyline too. I still stand by the fact that the whole uh, roommate murder and all that stuff could have been cut out without damaging the film. But I think probably one of my biggest issues with it is the mystery that is revealed is why Riddler is killing these people. And then the reveal is just that he wasn't treated fairly in his mind or whatever. So he's killing the people that he holds responsible. It's like, that's not a great reveal. You know what I mean? I'd rather have it just be, he's fucking crazy. Like that to me is like, it just, they're always trying to tie it into the Waynes. It just wasn't interesting to me. I thought, going back to the Long Halloween comic, I thought like Harvey Dent's wife had a way more sensible motivation for what, and it was a much cooler mystery in my opinion than what the Riddler was doing.
Yeah.
But
Plus,
in the long, I just watched I finished part 2 of the animation, and
the Long Halloween.
Yeah, I watched part 1 a long time ago, and I had part 2, and I finally watched it I don't know, about 3-4 nights ago, but I couldn't sleep. So Selena Kyle, that was her dad in the animation one. Was that true?
No, in the comic too. Yeah.
Okay, in the I couldn't remember the comic, so.
Yeah, that was in there. I didn't remember it initially, but I remembered it later. But again, I don't know. I just didn't care. I just wasn't invested in her story.
Yeah,
I didn't care that was her dad. The movie was too long to include that. Basically, the action scenes were great. I think Robert Pattinson's great as Batman. The suit looked good. One thing I really like about the movie, and especially contrasting and comparing it with Spider-Man No Way Home, is I like how real all the sets feel versus Spider-Man, where everything feels very, kind of like Phantom Menace-y. Like it's very obviously everything's CG and stuff. I mean, it's done way better than Phantom Menace. Don't get me wrong. But I even saw like a behind the scenes thing after the fact. There's that scene where Green Goblin first gets into the multiverse and he has his Green Goblin mask on the trash can on the dumpster and he's talking to it. I saw a behind the scenes thing. Everything in that scene, other than like Willem Dafoe, including the mask, is green screen. Like the mask is covered in the green. It's not an actual mask. Even they added the look of the mask in later.
Even
it's like
the garbage can, everything.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't even fabricate a fucking Green Goblin mask for the movie. So one thing that feels really cool about the Batman is it like the Nolan movies and just like older movies in general is and obviously some of it's on a soundstage and stuff. I don't care, but it's not, everything around isn't CG. It feels real. It feels like a real city, real places. It just little. And the other thing, when I was watching Spider-Man No Way Home, which I love, by the way, I still don't really have any complaints about, but like that scene on the bridge when Doc Ock shows up, and Spider-Man and Doc Ock are just talking to each other. They're like 5-6 car lengths apart. And Doc Ock's like, hello. And Spider-Man's like, hey, who are you? And they're not yelling. And there's no sound. There's no ambient sound. They're on a fucking freeway packed with cars that are just sitting, that are dead stop. There would be honking. There'd be engine sounds. You know what I mean? There'd be so many other sounds you would hear. And it's weird that I noticed it on like second or third viewing. I was just like, this is so weird. It's so silent on this fucking freeway. And it took me right out of the movie in that moment. Cause I was like, dude, put just a low level of sound in the background, honking, and make them raise their voices a bit. Like they're yelling over the din of traffic. And they didn't do that. And it was one of those things I was just like, ugh. I mean, I appreciate green screen. I appreciate CGI. Obviously we couldn't do a great Spider-Man movie without CGI. It's just not possible, but do some of the scenes, on a fucking studio lot, just a couple. Do some.
And this is why I enjoy stuff more than you.
Like you don't have the eye for detail.
I would like. Who would have even thought of that, man? What were you? Was that 420 day? Were you high? Like who even thinks of that?
No, it's just something like when you watch a lot of movies and you actually pay attention. Like you have I don't know what it is. When you actually pay attention to the movie, you just notice something feels real. Again, like the Nolan movies. So the city felt like Chicago. I mean, it was supposed to feel like Gotham, but it felt like Chicago because it was fucking Chicago. It felt real. It didn't feel like everything was CG. And I'm sure don't get me wrong. I know that even sometimes when it feels that way, it still is some CG is being incorporated and whatnot. But yeah, it was weird when I was watching Spider-Man and I was loving it. I was just like, they're just talking to each other. They're like 7 car lengths away and there's zero background noise, like zero. It's just one of those things you just notice when you pay attention to movies. That's why I'm like,
you're like, this
is more attention.
You're like, this isn't a pandemic, motherfucker.
Well, dude, dead stop traffic in New York. It is going to be dead silent and you can just talk to each other. Like, come on. Like, just like I said, just some ambient noise. Not every scene needs to have noise in it, but that would have helped that not feel like a CGI scene. And if they were kind of had elevated their voices a little bit instead of acting like they were standing next to each other in a quiet restaurant, which is how they were talking to each other. It took me out of it.
Steve doesn't notice stuff like that. He doesn't notice how bad Moon Knight is.
Hey, let's talk about.
Wait a minute. I was the one that said.
Hey, I'm doing an intro here. Let's talk about the 4th episode of Moon Knight. We have with us Moon Knight Defender #1. Go ahead and tell us how wonderful this week's episode of Moon Knight was. Steve,
I was the first to say I was disappointed with this episode. Stop giving me shit.
Not on the podcast. This is all due to the listener. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I'm saying I was the first one. I watched it. I got up at 5 a.m, watched it before I had to go to work, and I was like, okay, this one lost me. I'm being honest.
What
I don't know why you guys think I'm not critical about stuff I like. I still have nightmares about the fucking last Matrix movie. All right, I wanted to really like that, and I'm fucking traumatized.
I really feel bad for you about that Matrix movie.
Yeah, I do too.
Seriously, dude.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay, but
Rob told me before, he's like, I'm going to make Steve cry on the podcast.
No, I did not say that.
Let's go talk about something that hasn't broken my heart yet.
So what about this episode was worse than the first 3?
Well, this one was all about
I'm
her.
interested.
This one was about Layla, and they write her as a capable, competent woman. And then, like, one of the first scenes was her saying, "You smell different than him." But why wouldn't you? I was like, "This is
smelled the same." They smelled the same.
That was just dumb. I'm like,
Not
okay,
that it matters,
what are they doing? But then the whole rest of the show was just about her and showing that she can handle her own and everything, and that's fine. But then they make the point of they point it out to you, like with the line what'd she say is like she was talking to Harold and she's like, yeah, you sound so condescending when you say that, like I can't handle my own or some shit like that. I was like, oh my god, just let the woman be a badass. You don't have to fucking shove it in our face. It's like that scene in Endgame where all the girls line up before they go to fucking do something. It's just like, oh my God, just stop.
So your issue is not with the plot; it's just your rampant sexism that's the problem.
No.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
A little bit, but the scene at the end when he gets, in the mental institution, I've just seen that. I've just seen that before. I saw a long time, like Buffy had an episode like that, and that was one of the first times I saw it, and that was really good. They did that really well. This one ended with a hippopotamus, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I was telling Sean, because we talked about it before, and I was just like, dude, if they spend the whole next episode of them just trying to get out of Mark's own mental trap or whatever, I was like, there's only 2 episodes left. Like, I thought this episode was going to have some of that, at least Harrow doing something. He's still just fucking with everybody's mind in this one. It's like, when are you going to use some of your powers or something? So that was disappointing. But overall, like, Sean's like, no, this show's done. I was like, no, man, just dude. One of the great things was Mark and Steven getting together. They're getting on the same page. Once they get together, it's going to be fucking awesome. Like, I can't fucking wait.
Why would that be awesome?
Because, dude, if I got to see those, and then
you got Jake Lockley trying to get out. So I don't know, man.
You say it's Jake. Like, people that don't know anything about this have no idea.
Okay.
Well, here's my take on that.
If I got to see him talk in the mirror or a pool of water again, I'm gonna flip out, man. It's ridiculous. I get it. Back and forth. I want to see interaction with other people, not himself. Yeah,
they did.
Episode.
They were both in the same scene. They gave each other a big hug. They're like, Steven, Mark. That was great. I fucking love that, man.
The hippopotamus. I was like, what the hell just happened? And I was okay. So this is what I think. I have no idea, but okay, it's one of the gods, and he's in probably like a limbo that god controls or whatever. And it's probably that befriended Avatar, whatever god she was. I bet you she's the hippo god. You know what I'm talking about, Sean?
Yeah, the lady you was talking to.
Not that I care, but I'm just guessing that's what it is. I think you do.
It's all right. Your true
colors
like, are showing.
What the hell?
And it's like, you.
Hi. What the? Come on, man. That was horrible.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And they're screaming, a guy that's a mercenary doesn't scream like a little girl, man. I get that Steven might, but not the mercenary guy.
No.
Oh, yeah, because he sees giant talking hippopotamuses all the time.
Dude, he crazy-ass god. Yeah.
He's not going to be afraid of a jackal or a hippo saying hi when he's fought like rabid jackals.
Thank you.
That's not consistent. That's stupid.
in the scenario that he knows, in the reality he knows, he just woke up in a mental institution. Now everything he thought he knows is out the fucking door.
But it's not a mental institution.
All right, so here's
dude, I'm with you. I was disappointed in this episode. So,
all right, so here's my thing. I have a few takes now. I'm trying to look back on the whole series, and I think one of the issues they have with this series is they have like too many plot lines going on that. And I don't care about any of them. I'm not invested in any. I don't care about Amit. I don't know much about this Harrow dude. He's not intimidating in the least. We've got Mark Spector's background, which we know almost nothing about. We've had a little bit revealed in this episode. They focused on the wrong character. They focused on Steven, which I think they wanted to go with the audience proxy character. It's like, we don't need the audience proxy character. Give us the badass guy. Like, we don't. That was unnecessary. It reminds me a lot of like the whole issue I had with Force Awakens. Like with Star Wars Force Awakens, I everybody came out of that and they just loved it. And I came out of it and I was angry. And I think the foundation is just very weak. I think they should have kept it really simple. Whether they brought, we got Khonshu, we got Egyptian gods. Now there's Alexander the Great's sarcophagus, which, like, why are we supposed to care about that? Why is that significant?
What did that have anything to do with anything? Right.
Yeah, that was one of the things
What were those zombie-like creatures? What? Now we got zombie-like creatures. Where did that come from?
Protectors of the tomb.
I
Is
told
that what
Steve
they were?
that this they
But
went
he
for
was
Power
cutting
Rangers.
somebody up. He was cutting somebody up. Why was he cutting somebody up? And
Dude,
They
all that
went
was
for-
new. That was all new to me, man. I don't know what the fuck that was.
not exactly.
They went
ahead,
from
I'm
Power
sorry.
Rangers to Scooby Doo with this episode. Like, so they've kind of gone from one children's property to another, and it's just not cohesive. It's
No,
it's not
it's not.
cohesive episode to episode. Uh, and I said this last week, but I was like, okay, we're at the midway point. Now we're at the 67% point,
Oh,
and
man.
still hardly anything has happened. Moon Knight wasn't even in this episode. We
Yes,
literally did not see Moon Knight in this episode.
And I fear there's going to be a lot not happening in the next one too. You know, like that's why I was worried about this one. I was like, oh god, they still have so much.
Yeah, why
to
didn't they
fucking
call
do.
it Steven instead of Moon Knight?
Well, and then I'm pretty sure with the way they're going, and this I could be wrong, obviously, but this episode did focus a lot on Layla, and I'm like, I feel like because they keep talking about how Khonshu wants her as his avatar, she's going to end up as a Moon Knight. Maybe not the Moon Knight. She might be the next Moon Knight, but I feel like by the end, she's going to be a Moon Knight, potentially. You can call me out on that if I'm wrong, but I just feel like that's how they're leaning on this right now. I'm just indifferent to everything going on. The villain sucks. The villain matters. You need to have your villain needs to be interesting or powerful, or at least make him visually unique or something, give him a cool look. This is possibly the most boring villain I've ever seen in my life in the history of comic book franchises. Like, I don't know if it gets, like, actually, that's not true. Lex Luthor was pretty boring, but Gene Hackman brought some personality to Lex Luthor. I mean, Lex Luthor's whole thing is like real estate scams in the movies, which is a pretty stupid motivation, but at least he's got some personality behind it. This guy is he just talks like this all the time. Hey, Mark, I put glass in my shoes for Steven.
That's because
loves glass in his shoes. He's very impressed.
That's because he's a therapist in in the reality.
Well, that's the other thing too. So they do the flip. They do the thing, and like I don't believe for a second that this is all taking place in his mind. I don't think anybody does.
No,
because you don't do 3.5 episodes and it's just in his mind, and now it turns out he's been in a mental institution the whole time. That's just a dumb thing.
You don't have
Khonshu's going to resurrect him and bring him out because I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, you don't spend all that time on Khonshu if he's not going to be part of the main reality.
But it's just there's just nothing for me to latch onto. There's been some funny moments. Again, I still like Oscar Isaac. Is that his name?
Yeah.
He's got 2 first names, so I always get it confused. But I just don't care about anything that's happening. Like I'd be so surprised if something cool happens in the next 2 episodes that impresses me, or I'm just like, whoa, I did not see that coming. Like they can do things I don't see coming, but it also has to be something impactful and something that matters. Like if they do something I don't see coming and it turns out to just end in a musical, I'm not going to be impressed. Like I didn't know they were going to do a musical at the end. That's not impressive.
But at this point, you would be impressed with Hawkeye.
But at this point, do you even care? I mean,
I haven't this whole. That's what I mean. I mean, literally indifferent.
There's 2 episodes left, and I really don't care what happens.
Exactly.
Dude, I can't wait.
I'm not invested. I am not invested in any of the characters.
Dude, once Mark and Steven start getting on the same page, this shit's going down. Fucking forget about it, man. It's gonna be awesome.
What do you predict is going to happen?
They're going to break Khonshu out. They're going to be fucking, I don't know, man. I can't wait.
Khonshu has to resurrect him. That's Khonshu's deal. Mark was telling about how he, died or whatever, and Khonshu resurrected him. So I imagine Khonshu's the one who's going to have to save it. He was shot in the heart like twice.
Yeah.
He's essentially dead without Khonshu at this point, if they're sticking to
I think mythology. the hungry
hippos. Yeah.
That god's going to help out.
Whatever happens.
I don't know what god she is, and I don't care.
You already told us.
I don't want to look it up.
She's the one the girl that helped him out in the first place.
Yeah, but I don't know what she does. I don't know what she's the god of, is what I'm saying. I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing what character she is, because
we've seen all the best Moon Knight moments were like in the trailer when he's beating that jackal and when his cape turns into a crescent moon. All that shit was in trailers. It's like, please let there be more. That's all we get.
They're saving the best for what you haven't seen. It's going to be great. Trust me.
Okay.
When have I ever let you guys down? Come on.
What time is it? I can tell you.
The Alexander the Great thing. I was like, what the fuck, man? That's a monumentous occasion. They just threw it in there like it was nothing, you know?
There was like no twist. I was like, oh.
I'm not like an archaeologist or paleontologist or a history buff, so I have no idea why that's significant as a viewer. I'm just like, okay. So what does that mean to the story? I don't know, because there's 3,000 plot threads and none of them are interesting. Yeah. Like I don't care. I don't care about anything that's happening.
They focused on her actually liking all the parts of Mark that he keeps hidden from her, and I don't know. It's just I don't that part.
It's a love story. I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah, well, no, but it's just like part. It's like it's the same person. It's like, come on, lady, come on.
But
man.
It's not.
I don't even.
It is. It's just different parts that you don't show all the time. Like I have all kinds of things I don't
in this too.
Show to the. Huh?
I think I'm more disappointed in this because the comic was so good.
Yeah.
And like Hawkeye, we know his character, so I mean, I wasn't disappointed in like what the it was pretty bad, but I'm just saying it. Like this had so much potential that you could see from reading the comic, and it's just like, man, it's so bad.
I didn't hate Hawkeye until he got stuck in a tree for half the finale.
That's what I'm saying. Hawkeye didn't like. At least I guess because they've established Hawkeye, and we there is some attachment to him, his character.
Yeah,
but I would have from what I was saying, but he was barely in his own series, though.
Right. Well, that's what the disappointing part for that was. But this is just this makes no sense. Who cares? It's just not interesting. I don't know.
I mean, at least
I'm more disappointed in that because I saw the potential from reading the comic. At least
this show is focusing in on Mark and Steven and Moon Knight and it's not Marlene, but it's Layla. At least they're doing that. At least,
Why do they have to change the name?
Unlike Hawkeye, where they talked about the girl the whole time.
Why do they have to
probably
change
wanted it an Egyptian name or something, I'm guessing.
Layla's an Egyptian name?
I don't know, but her last name is very much Egyptian, so I'm assuming from that's what they were going for there. I don't know. I'm not basing that on anything other than the fact that they wanted an Egyptian actor and an Egyptian name to go with it, because her last name is very much Egyptian.
And then they made such a big deal about, him killing her father or whatever, supposedly. And he's like, no, I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. And she's like, oh, okay. It's like, okay.
But she was like, right. But you were there. And she's like, you're just with me because you're guilty. That's it.
Yeah, but he didn't kill her. He tried to help.
Yeah.
All right, get over it.
That was one of the things I was disappointed with, too, because I wanted to see like a flashback, because one of Moon Knight's main villains is Raoul Bushman, and he's the one that killed her father. And I wanted to get a glimpse of him, maybe. And I wanted to see Mark in his mercenary outfit. And, I wanted to see, how I wanted to see like her watching her father die. Like that would have been a fucked up scene.
You have to, you can't, all this. You have to establish like the characters first.
Yeah.
That's how a show or a movie.
And that's what they did in this episode.
No, you always talk about like, oh, I can't wait to see Jake and whoever, but they haven't established any of that.
No, but I mean, they showed you how Layla and Steven are starting. They had a kiss, Steven and Layla, this time. Like
again, I have to care about the characters to give a shit about that. Like, I don't care.
You're waiting for Bushman to come along. Who the fuck is Bushman? Nobody knows who Bushman is. They haven't established Bushman. Why would you wait for him to show up?
I think Steve's love of the show very much hinges on
the comic,
on his insider knowledge of what he thinks might happen versus what is actually occurring in front of his face.
Right. But
he can't get over the potential.
Everything until this episode has been out of the comics. So they've messed with a couple things, but it's still there. You know, they
Not
went.
the comic I read.
There's tons of Moon Knight comics, and I think this is a case where they picked the wrong ones.
Maybe.
Because they do that. And when you think about the fact that Moon Knight has been around as long as the Punisher, and he's still not on anybody's radar, maybe that tells you the quality of the comics for the most part. So maybe they should have gone to that.
You said you liked the one that you read, that we read.
Yeah, and that's the one I'm talking about, the Charlie Houston.
Okay,
that was good.
David Finch.
And then next week
they're not using that though. They're not using the violent, dark side of Moon Knight. That's not what they're doing at all.
Or they're not using
none of that Moon Knight.
They're not using the plot point from that comic where you have no idea that
is he just crazy?
Is he crazy, or you know, because you don't see other people's perspective of like the shit he's seeing. You know, we know Layla can see him fighting nobody. You know what I mean?
Right. And we also know the Khonshu is real because they've had that council. The other Ahmet, or not, but Harrow has, he knows Khonshu is.
Which is why I was disappointed with this episode. It's like, why are they going to the crazy house when we know it's not going to go that way? I'm disappointed. I'm agreeing with you guys. What do you want me to say?
But you're still defending the series as a whole, and it's disappointing.
Because I liked them, showing Layla. I was like, oh, you're cheating on Mark with Steven, huh? I like that. I like when Mark
you're caught up. So when I read comics, when I read Moon Knight, I want to see him punch people to a bloody pulp.
And I've
never show up for Moon Knight. I've never picked up Moon Knight and was like, hey, I hope he kisses somebody in this issue. This is going to be a good issue. If he kisses a girl on the mouth, I'm going to lose my shit. That's
you're gonna get your.
He kissed a girl on the mouth. Best Moon Knight ever.
Be patient. You're gonna get it in the last episode.
Be patient.
Probably not.
We are 2/3 of the way through. My patience is gone.
We got Moon Knight in the first 3 episodes. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? This is the first time Moon Knight wasn't in an episode. I've seen tons of Moon Knight. It's great.
You've not seen tons of Moon
Knight. Okay, now you guys
Moon Knight. Yeah.
Go back and look at this other series.
Go back. You have a very selective memory. The very first episode, anytime there was supposed to be Moon Knight, they literally edited it out.
Right.
They edited out Moon Knight from the first episode. And they did it again in the second. We got about maybe 5 minutes of Moon Knight in the first episode. We probably had a total of about 10 to 15 minutes of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
And you're gonna get a lot of Moon Knight in the end.
I think what I'm saying is, like Sean said, your vision of this series is skewed because of you really like the comic. And
I do.
You think you're hoping things are going to happen based upon the comic.
Well, yeah.
But just say that. Just say that.
I am. I said I'm disappointed in this episode. I hope they don't spend the whole next one.
You keep saying this episode, though.
Yes, because this is the only episode that I did not enjoy. I like the other episodes. I think they're doing a good job.
Calm down, bro.
Okay.
Calm down,
well,
bro.
You're trying to tell me something that you're trying to make me feel a way I don't feel. I'm trying to tell you. The first episode.
We want you to make true statements, and that true statement would be none of these episodes have been good.
No,
that would be a true statement.
That's not true. That's not.
We're trying to bring you to the light.
The first
he's going to get to the end of this, and it's going to be just like Hawkeye all over again. He's like, man, what was the point of that? It's going to be Hawkeye all over again.
Well, that definitely could happen. That they definitely could, but I hope they don't, because I want it to be more like the first 3.
We're 2/3 of the way in.
Okay, well, if they
get like one of the Moon Knight run that I picked based on not only the fact that I had read part of it before, but when I looked up Moon Knight stories, that was like one of the highest rated ones. And the other ones I've looked at that were really highly rated by readers were always very violent. And this is not a violent show. This is this is Power Rangers level violence. It's this stupid buddy comedy like the last Venom movie. It with the multiple personalities arguing with each other. It wasn't entertaining in Venom. It's not entertaining now. It's not well done. It's a kid's show. It's not delivering on any way with drama or action. It's not delivering in the 2 areas it needs to deliver in.
Okay, well, I disagree. I think there's been plenty of action, and there's going to be a shit ton of action in the end.
I blame Sean for making me read the good Moon Knight. That's why I hate this series. because he made me
take
read
that.
this stupid
That's-
comic.
What did you like
I
about
will
that comic
bear that
other than the
proudly.
brutality?
You talking to me
I'll
or
tell you
him?
No,
what
I'm talking to Rob.
I'll step in.
No, I'm talking
I'm
to
stepping
Rob.
in to say, I don't care. I'm
Before
going to tell
he
you what I like
agrees
about
with
it. Other than the
before
brutality,
Rob agrees with
because
everything you say, I'd like to hear from him.
No, I know.
part of what I'm going to
I
say
enjoyed
is
Venom.
stuff Rob has already said like 10 times because we do already agree. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was a mystery whether his worship, if Khonshu was real, if his worship of Khonshu mattered, if he was just crazy and he just got adrenaline and that's why he was so powerful, or did he really have this power of an Egyptian god? That mystery was interesting. Also, the way his personalities, they didn't interact with each other in cutesy ways. Like they served different purposes. Like the cab driver would talk to the low-level street scum to get information and so on.
And
like
that's how it was in the other comics too. That's how it was in the other comics too.
Well, I'm not reviewing a comic. I'm reviewing the TV show, and it sucks. None of this is happening.
I know.
None of what I've read is happening.
Okay, well, you can see why sometimes I get angry too. Like with this last one. I don't know. Again, I haven't read anything about a hippopotamus god or anything like that. I didn't know that hippopotamus god existed.
See, I didn't know. I find that
I didn't know Layla ever had a problem with the two personalities. Marlene always knew about both of them, and she was fine with it. Like, this is all new to me. This is something that was new out of this last episode that is not like the comics. I didn't like it.
And this is the one you didn't like, the one that you're not familiar with.
Well, yeah, but
anyway,
I don't.
Like I said, I think they could have gone a different path, kept it simpler, more gritty, down to earth. They're bringing in, they're spinning the sky around. They're doing, this.
How do you not like the Brendan sky Fraser's spinning around, dude? That's cool.
Because it doesn't mean anything. It's just an effect on screen. It means
you didn't
nothing.
Like Superman spinning the world around to reverse time. Come on, man. That's cool as shit.
Yeah, that was completely different. He did that to save someone's life. It's about that motivation. That I just feel like there could have been a million ways to do that, but instead they did that just to spend the effects budget or something.
Well, I think
Superman did that because Lois Lane died.
They're doing that to save a bunch of people's lives from Amet killing them before they even make choices.
No, but my point is, it was a story choice that just, again, it's just like a lot of much ado about nothing kind of thing. Like it wasn't cool. It was just literally spectacle. There could have been a million other ways they could have chose to do that. He could have just found it on the map and they could have said, oh, well, we know from these star charts, this is where the stars were. They didn't have to do that. Like it's a way of decompressing the story and, putting flashy visuals on screen, but never actually serving the characters or the story itself. And it's not that I have a problem with that in particular. My point is, it didn't serve a purpose. It was just flashy visuals.
Dude,
that's all
Khonshu is going against the gods to try and save a bunch of people. Like, what do you mean that did serve a purpose? He's defying all the gods in an attempt to save a bunch of people's lives. I don't see how that's not. Okay, well,
I hope everybody I hope they're not on the 616 Earth. I just hope everyone in the series dies and they reset. That's always like when they get too far into something, I'm just like, oh, just kill everyone here. We got the multiverse thing. You can just be like, this is a different Earth. Let's just wipe it because this is terrible.
You guys,
let's go to the Earth where Moon Knight is punching poor people in the face. That's what I'm here for.
You guys may get your wish in these last two episodes. They might totally fuck it all up. Layla could be Moon Knight by the end of this.
Fuck all of what up, dude? You mean hopefully they unfuck everything? Everything's fucked already. What are you talking about? Everything is fucked. There's no interest in these characters. You've lost me. I don't care. I don't care about anybody on screen. Not a single person.
You've made
There's
that
not even an animal
clear.
or a pet I can like in this series. Nothing.
You didn't like the hippopotamus?
I don't like anything happening in this show.
That was a joke. Yes, you've made that evidently clear. You guys both don't like it. I'm sorry. I hope it gets better for you. I hope they have a lot of action and some brutality.
You're putting a lot of weight on these two episodes.
Well, I put a lot of weight on WandaVision, and it paid off because the beginning of WandaVision sucked
it didn't.
Dick.
What paid off in WandaVision? What was the big payoff?
Dude, how many times do we have to tell this, dude? Come on, man.
Tell me again. What was the big payoff in WandaVision?
We find
what was worth the nine episodes they did.
The whole fucking town was controlled by her. She was keeping that shit under wraps.
We knew. Okay, we knew that. We knew that from the trailers.
We got to see Monica try and make it in there. We got to see Vision try and make it out. Then we watched her whole fucking family die in front of her. She had to watch her kids. She put her kids to bed and fucking watch them die. Then then she had to watch the man she loved.
But they weren't real. But they weren't real though.
Okay, but it's real to her, dude.
But it's not real though.
But
it was fantasy.
But not in her mind. She created it.
In my mind, Moon Knight is a better show, but that doesn't matter. Nobody gets to see that show.
The characters in Wanda, I did care about. I mean, they made them.
I liked Wanda. Wanda. I liked Vision. I thought there were moments I liked in WandaVision. However, they dragged that series out way too long.
Probably.
And then
the first 3 episodes.
The fight scenes themselves were also disappointing. But again, I don't know how you make those better when you're doing magic battles. I hate magic battles. It just looks so dumb. Invisible snowball fights.
WandaVision was way better than this.
There were moments in WandaVision that were much better than this. Absolutely. Because again, but that's just because you cared about those characters already from the movies. And in Moon Knight, we don't have that shorthand. And they didn't take the time to establish that either for us in Moon Knight. We're just expected to care because they exist. They're on screen. They're like, here are these characters. You should care about them.
Well, so every time they try and establish something, you guys shit all over it. So, I mean, like, what?
Oh, so we're the problem. Rob and I are the ones stopping Moon Knight from being a good show.
No, I'm just saying
I'll take that.
They're establishing shit. It's just not in the time you want them to. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
We need to go talk to the writers and tell them to retract all our everything we've submitted. Just go ahead and pull that since we're the problem here.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. We like different things, man. WandaVision was awesome.
Hey man, you, Steve.
This is pretty good so far.
I like Venom a lot better than this.
Oh,
and I like Venom.
There you go.
Well, at least Venom had Venom in it. I mean, at least it had some action.
I was
honestly
Moon Knight. This is the first episode Moon Knight wasn't in it. Stop.
It hasn't been enough Moon Knight. And speaking of not having enough of your main character, I watched Halo today.
I forgot to watch it.
Don't spoil it,
dude. I forgot to watch it.
There's nothing to spoil. The show. There's nothing happening in the show. The last 8 minutes there is action.
Oh,
so just fast forward to that point
with guns.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, there's guns and Covenant, and it's a really cool scene, and it gets you back on board. And then the episode ends, and you're like, "Oh fuck, I forgot the rest of the show sucks." But there's some cool action in this episode for about 8 minutes.
I will say, at least Halo is trying. Their lack of it's a video game action video game that they're basing the series on. You need more action, obviously.
Yes,
but they are trying. And it flows a little bit better, and it makes sense. Whereas Moon Knight,
it's
just all over the goddamn place.
I agree with you on that.
Which is sad because Halo sucks. but I am watching it, and I see what they're trying to do.
I gotta watch this last episode.
Way too little action. I'm in it for the action, man.
Yes, that's why we're here.
For the action. The Matrix. I'm in it for the action.
Right.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. No, I was too.
But if I want to watch, a comedy or a thriller that might not have action, but it's got suspense. But I mean, Halo is a shooter game. You know what I mean? Come on.
No, it's one of those things. What I would equate it to is if part of the reason Halo exists as a property is because of the movie Aliens, the second Alien movie directed by James Cameron. Very much inspired a lot of Halo. Now, Halo had other inspirations as well, which is what made it a good property. You don't want to just borrow from one thing. You want to borrow from 20 different things. So if I feel like what they should have done with this series is, it's much like the game, is look at Aliens as a guide as to what to do. And again, Aliens is literally just a story about a Marine unit. They get sent under false pretenses to go fight this thing and discover this horrible monster they have to fight that they are not equipped to fight, and it becomes a survival thing. It's a very simple story, very engrossing. The way they establish the corporate villains as well as the alien villains, just the interpersonal relationships, all that kind of stuff. It all is very quickly established and believable in this, like 2-hour movie. And that's what Halo should have went to. It's just something simple. Spartans and Marines in trouble. Master Chief comes in to save them, but it's too much for him to handle. So it becomes like Judge Dredd or Die Hard or something. And Master Chief has to do all kind of badass shit to get him out of this situation or whatever. And maybe a little bit of the background story of the Halo rings, and maybe the Flood comes in eventually. But what they're doing now with the focus on Master Chief's background, which I read about in the books, and it was fine in the book form, but in the show, it's like, no, we need fucking action, dude.
I'm sorry. You like what you said with the background stuff. Establish the series first and what it is about. It's about shoot 'em up. Then you can go into his background.
Right.
You know what I mean? But don't start with his background. That's
right.
That's what I'm trying to say with the Halo.
I thought they started with the Covenant. Didn't they start with an action?
They started with an action scene, but the main plot focus seemingly is on how he became a Spartan. He was kidnapped and cloned and all that stuff, and the clone was sent back to his mother, and which again was interesting in the book, but the book was also interspersed. The book was called The Fall of Reach being a planet, and it was interspersed with literally this last stand of this planet the Covenant was destroying, and John became the last surviving Spartan of his unit, or of the Spartan 2 line or something like that, defending Reach. Like everybody died basically on Reach. So the back and forth was okay because it was back and forth with action. This is back and forth with his history as a kid, coupled with Dr. Halsey trying to get, the fucking MacGuffin, which I don't care. And then you got the little girl trying to liberate Madrigal, and you're like, why do you still care about Madrigal when now that you know that aliens exist? Maybe, maybe don't worry about the humans, people that are oppressing you, and maybe be like, you know what? We got to deal with the larger threat here. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Her character sucks. Her story sucks. It's just bad.
Is the MacGuffin, is that the thing that, I thought that was the thing that turns on Halo? Is that not what it's going to be? Or
I think I don't know, but there's multiple elements, but I'm assuming it's like a key to activate the Halo rings.
Okay.
I don't know if that's where they're going in the game. That was how it worked. So you could activate that, but they didn't, like in the game, they didn't know that activating the Halo rings. So the Halo rings were designed to destroy the Flood. The Flood being like these zombie-like creatures that will kill you and possess you and everything. But they didn't know that activating it, the way that the Halo rings work is they eliminate the Flood's food, and the Flood's food is people. So what the Halo rings do, they just kill everybody that could be a food source for the Flood. So that was kind of a cool mystery in the game.
Yeah. And
again, we don't have that here. It's just chasing after these obelisks or whatever, and relics, whatever the fuck you want to call them. And we're, I don't know, Master Chief is learning how to be more human. It's like, no, we don't want Master Chief to be more human. That's not why we're here. We've played 37 games of him not being more human, and we love him just the same. Stop it. Like, just, you're focusing on the wrong shit. Stop it. It's bad. It's wrong. It's incorrect.
8 minutes of action. That's a good amount, right? That's pretty good.
For 5 episodes? No. We're 5 episodes in. We've had a combined total of 15 to 20 minutes of action. Not good. These are hour-long episodes. That is not good. Not good, in my opinion. No.
Sean wants
this
every
is literally
episode
the first time
a whole battle.
No, but you can have downtime, but there's a battle in the first episode and a battle in the 5th episode. That's where we're at. That's how far apart it is. It's worse than Moon Knight in that regard.
Yeah.
Like it's so frustrating. It's like, dude, this is a simple story to tell. You don't need to convolute it with all these new characters and all these new motivations. The Covenant are just religious zealots that want to activate the rings. And, just stick with that. Religious zealots are a great enemy. It's very believable. It's very real. Just stick with that. Stop. Like, we don't, it's just not good. It's so frustrating as a Halo fan to see them do this when they've had source material they could have used that was way better.
Sounds like Stop reading shit.
Well, I'm just talking about the games. Even if they just based it on the first Halo game, it would have been way better. Not just the books.
So the first Halo game, they find the key and turn it on or whatever. Is that what you said?
Well, they land. I think the first one they like discover the Halo ring. And I think they crash on it or something. Or I forget how they end up on Halo, and they're like figuring out the mysteries of it while they're fighting the Covenant, trying to figure out why the Covenant wants the ring. And then, that's like, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through the game, all of a sudden the Flood come out. And that's a crazy ass level when you first, because you have that little motion tracker from Aliens.
Yeah. I remember you sat me down and you're like, dude, you got to watch me play this. And I was like, how are you going to survive this? There's no way to survive this. Like,
because you watch the motion tracker, there's literally like maybe 5 to 10 enemy little red dots on it at a time normally. And you get in this complex. And then all of a sudden your motion tracker is just like flooded. It's like blood red. You're just like, what the fuck? It's horrifying and it's brilliant and it's great.
That's the only time I had anxiety in my life. It was that. It was right there.
It was so intense and it was so well played and you just didn't see it coming. And, and it's a whole new enemy type. And you're just like, oh! You turn into Mark Spector, all of a sudden you just start making girl noises.
And I think you had played it so much, like by the time you showed me, like you were doing this on like super hard or something. Like you're like,
I played it through so many. I played it on the hardest difficulty because I just love the game. But yeah, it was such a cool experience though.
Those are the type of games like I just put down the controller. I was like, I have to get back to that at the future time.
Steve's like, the only way to win is not to play on this one. So I won.
I was like, they're all over the place. How are you supposed to? You can't survive this.
It was so cool. And you just start running. That was my instinct. It was like, gotta go. So well done.
Yeah,
and we get none of that brilliance in this series. Like the suit looks great, the weapons look great, the vehicles look great, Covenant looks pretty cool.
I did watch her drive around in the Warthog, or him and her last episode. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't remember much, but I definitely remember the Warthog.
But yeah, this episode, I remember I just kept like hitting the button on the remote. It's like, oh, we're only 10 minutes in. God damn it. Like, I just wanted the episode to end. And then finally I was like, oh, is shit going to happen now? And like, Covenant actually shows up like, oh, we're going to shoot people in our shooter-based series finally. That's great.
You're very happy then.
Did he put his helmet back on, or did he have his helmet off?
The whole scene was him without his helmet shooting a gun.
he like starts the episode with his helmet on, and then like not even a minute later he takes it off. It's like, why? Why do you have to take the helmet off? Stop it. And then no, he does all the fighting with the helmet on, thankfully. But then they do those scenes like, you know how with Iron Man, how like you could see Tony Stark's face? They started doing that shit. I'm like, no, stop it. I don't want to see his face. I just want to see Master Chief. This isn't, stop basing it on Iron Man. Base it on Mandalorian. Dude doesn't take his helmet off. Everybody loves him. Just do that.
Like V for Vendetta. Never see his face. Never see. Maybe a short when they're showing the flashback. You see a shadow.
But not
shadowy
really. Same with
glimpse.
Mandalorian. There's like less than 2 minutes of Mandalorian with his helmet off in 2 seasons, Yeah. And again, it had emotional impact when he did it. It made sense.
Yeah.
And he puts it back on his first opportunity he gets, and he leaves it on, and nobody has a problem with it. One of the most popular shows to come out in a long ass time. And instead they're like,
why do they keep doing that? Like nobody ever has a problem with it. Why do they keep is it the actors? They're just like, I don't want to be in this the whole time, or
I do not know, but it's just weird to take a game where you never see the protagonist's face and then decide to give him a face. And it's like, you don't need to do that. You just don't. We want to humanize them. Okay, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking face. Like, you're bad at this. You don't understand the property. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
Who directs this show? Is it somebody you know, or?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I think it's like the post. I think it's a blind, limbless, lobotomized chimpanzee is who directs the show, from what I can tell.
Hey, I heard they were making a Crow reboot or something. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, they've been kicking that around for years, and supposedly they cast the guy who played Pennywise recently. but they've had Jason Momoa was cast at one point. Rob Zombie was on as director at one point, so we'll see if it actually goes anywhere.
Okay,
that's a movie I really don't want. I don't think anybody wants a remake of that just because of it's so intertwined with the legacy of Brandon Lee.
Yeah,
that I don't think anybody truly wants that because he made that character, and died making that character, and I don't. I mean, dude, I'm not going to say I'm not going to see it, but at the same time, like, there's not a strong desire for that remake. Like
okay. I didn't know it was something that had been floating around a while. I thought it was just
it's been years and years, and I know they announced that recently.
They remake everything.
Yeah,
and this is one of those things where it's just like, just don't touch this one.
Yeah, it's almost blasphemous, And it is a remake, right? It's not a sequel, right?
That's what I read.
Okay.
But again, I didn't give it too much thought because again, I've seen those stories pop up. Past 10 years, especially. It's like, oh, Rob Zombie's on as director. Jason Momoa is signed on to play. Blah blah blah. The Rock was probably signed on at one point. The Rock's always signed on to play everybody at some point.
Speaking of The Rock, dude, did you like the Doom movie?
No.
Okay. Did you like the way they filmed some of the action scenes where it had the same perspective as the video game?
The first person thing, it was a little goofy, but I appreciated it. They do that in the Halo show too. When they show action, they'll go into that visor first person mode.
Okay.
It's kind of cool. I don't think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any reason to mimic the game experience. I'd rather see it filmed. I'd rather see some great cinematography as opposed to I'm in the first person perspective.
And I haven't seen it in a while, but they used that a lot, didn't they? In Doom?
No, it was just like one sequence.
Oh, was it?
Towards the end of the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a goofy movie where they try. It was like a shitty ripoff of Aliens, but again though they just fucked up. They took too much liberty with the source material, and instead of it like actually being incorporating, like the game is set in like hell. Half of it's set in hell. Mm-hmm. Stuff they just need to run with that shit if they're going to adapt. Doom is not something you really want to adapt to a movie because there's like no story in Doom. The story is like somebody released the demons onto Earth and you got to kill them. And like, that's it. That's like the whole fucking story, dude. You don't have a name. Nobody else has a name. Like, it's just go kill these things. That's what makes Doom great. That's why it's a great game. Yeah, it's nonstop. That is like balls to the wall action. It does not need much story. But if somebody does do another Doom movie, I want to see them do the crazy shit. I want to have them be on Mars. They go through a thing and they end up in hell. They're fighting demons in hell. And it looks like fucking Iron Maiden album covers. Like that's what I want. That's what I want from my Doom movie. Go fucking ape shit with it. Stop trying to make it realistic or believable. Doom is absurd. Make the movie absurd. Make it entertaining above all else. That should be your number one thing.
Didn't they do that gate from one planet to hell in the other movie? Or the movie?
I don't know if it was it to hell. I thought it was something. I thought they were like bringing stuff through. I forget what it was now.
Okay.
But I don't think they actually went to hell. But maybe demons were coming through. Maybe that was. It's been a while since I watched it.
Okay.
But there's another Doom movie that came out probably 4 years ago or so that I have. That's better than that one, but it's still terrible. So.
Oh, really?
It's called Doom Annihilation. It's a little bit closer to the games, but it's still not good.
Anybody I know in that movie?
I don't think there's anybody in that movie that I even remember. I don't think there's a single recognizable name in that movie.
Okay. Should I watch it? Sounds interesting.
I don't know if interesting is the right word.
You say that one's better than the first one?
It's better than the other. I think there's a lot of other movies you should watch first. Let's put it that way.
It reminds him of Moon Knight. You'll love it.
It's very forgettable. It's very like Sci-Fi Channel movie of the week.
Do you like Doom? Did you like Doom with The Rock or Moon Knight better?
Doom with The Rock is much more entertaining than Moon Knight. So it's much more entertaining. I'm not going to say it's necessarily better, but it's much more entertaining. So if I have a choice, I'd rather watch that. And I have it on Blu-ray. I have it on my Vudu account. I have both the movies on my Vudu account if you want to watch them, Rob. I don't recommend it, but all right, let's move on to Evil Dead 2, this week's movie. Excuse me. All right, so I got to go into a little history with this franchise for me. So I've harped on this before, but I have to set this up. But so growing up in the 80s, wasn't allowed to watch movies, missed out on a lot of stuff. So I was always, as a kid in the 80s, I was always harassing my neighbors or friends or whoever to let me watch movies at their house. Like, that's how I saw The Karate Kid and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Like, I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater. And then, like, in 1983, my mom, after we saw Return of the Jedi, something happened and she decided Jesus doesn't like movies. So we weren't allowed to go to movies for like 6-7 years.
They are the devil.
Right. But I'd already been exposed to movies. So I already had the bug. Satan was already in my body. So I needed to appease my satanic overlord. So I was always like, hey, man, you got any of them Indiana Jones movies? And so I'd hang out with you. Your dad would rent movies. God bless him. And I don't mean that in the condescending Southern way. I mean that legitimately. And just anybody that, you know, in my proximity, and it's funny. I look back and I'm embarrassed for my younger self because I was just like, what do you got? You got Predator? I've never seen Predator. You know, like, and I remember this one neighbor, he lived a couple houses down. He was actually in the house that we ended up moving to at one point. You remember when we moved 2 houses down from where we lived?
Yeah, that was crazy. Street? I was like, why would you do that?
Because our landlord kicked us out because he wanted to move in. So he's like, you know what? The single mother needs to go. I'm moving in. And I actually kind of helped broker that deal, though. I was like, hey, that neighbor died. His house is available. And so my mom got in touch with his daughter and she rented the top half of the house to us or whatever. But anyway, the people who lived there before that, though, there was an old guy named Jack who was an awesome neighbor. And he rented the top half of his house out to this like younger couple. And I don't remember their names. And I was talking to the guy one day and we were talking about movies because I love movies. And I don't remember the exact conversation because I was probably like 10 or 11 years old, but we were talking about horror movies. And I think I was obsessed with Freddy Krueger at the time. And I probably asked him, like, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen? And he's like, Evil Dead. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And, but so this had to be post 1987 because I did remember seeing the ad for Evil Dead 2 in the newspaper when, you know, how you get the newspaper to look at movie times. They always have the little movie posters in there.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead 2 poster always stood out to me because it was a skull with eyeballs staring at you. And it just always freaked me the fuck out. So that stayed with me. So he mentioned Evil Dead. And I was like, okay, I've seen the poster for Evil Dead 2. I don't know what it is. So he rented Evil Dead 2 for me because it was almost impossible to find the first one. So I saw Evil Dead 2 before I saw the first one. I fucking loved it. I was a kid. It was fantastic. And then eventually he got the first movie for me. And I died of fear because the first movie, when you're like 10 or 11 years old, is fucking horrifying. It's just, it is not meant for a kid that age. But eventually he found a copy somewhere and was like, hey, I got the first Evil Dead. It's like, oh, cool. When my mom's at work, I'll come over. Now I'm watching this in broad daylight. Like, this wasn't like late night.
Right.
You know, that was that's probably why my mom thought I was possessed by demons too at some point, because I was just always like, oh, I can't sleep, Evil Dead will get me.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I've seen the first one because I don't think I've seen this one we just watched. I'm pretty sure I only saw the first one.
Really?
Yeah, I know I've seen Army of Darkness, so I've seen the third one, but I don't think I ever saw this one we just watched. But I do remember being like, that was kind of fucked up, that first one. But I saw it when I was older, so I couldn't imagine what you were going through.
Well, that's the thing. It left such an impression on me. And I would tell anybody who would listen, like if we were talking about, you know, other kids talking about scary movies, gotta see Evil Dead. And of course, nobody had heard of it because it was literally, this movie was made for less than $500 million and came out like 81 in the theaters or something. And so I would tell anybody who would listen about Evil Dead, couldn't find it on VHS forever. I remember going to Blockbuster. I don't know if I've told this story recently. Did I tell the story already about Blockbuster and Evil Dead?
I don't remember anything.
All right. So at this point, it's like the mid 90s. I have my own car, driver's license. So I'm probably like 16, 17, possibly 18. And I go to Blockbuster. Of all the places I find Evil Dead at this fucking Blockbuster. And I've looked everywhere. I'm like, Blockbuster has it? So I rent it. I go home, I watch it, I pee my bed, and before I rented it though, I remember asking the guy at Blockbuster, I gave him the tape. I was like, hey, so let's just say hypothetically, I forget to return this. what's that going to cost me?
You
and
did
he's
tell
like,
me this.
$90. Yeah. So, but it was like a really shitty copy. Everybody, and they literally had one copy of it. It was terrible. So I returned it because it was too bad. But then in like 1997, I think they finally released it on VHS, and I was so excited, and I bought the collector's. And then like a year later, it was on DVD, and then now I swear to God, there's a new version of it every year since 1998 on DVD. The collector's edition on DVD, the Book of the Dead edition on DVD, which I have a bunch of them, and then the Blu-ray, and now the 4K, and then the Ultimate Collect, like the Groovy Collection came out like last year or earlier this year. I think it was last year. But they're constantly. I think this distributor, this publisher, literally lives on publishing Evil Dead because it's just constantly a new version of Evil Dead out there. And I don't think they make any other movies. They're just like Anchor Bay is just like, we make Evil Dead.
And it's got a good
idiots
cult,
like Sean keep buying it.
Yeah, cult following. Everybody keeps buying it up.
Yeah. So anyway, so I saw the sequel first, but the sequel is, kind of a remake of the first movie. Like the first half kind of tweaked some things. And I guess that's because the studio wanted Sam Raimi to do that. He didn't want to make a sequel to Evil Dead 2, but they wanted him to, so he did. And
yeah, he wanted to make the Army of Darkness a movie, right?
Right. Yeah, he wanted to do the thing where he was in the olden times.
Ye old times. Yeah, when I was watching this movie, I had no idea that he set it up. He had that little bit where the picture of him with the chainsaw and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's been wanting to do this, and then I read about that later. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
All right. So what did you? So basically, the setup. This is like a classic cabin in the woods horror story. Teenagers, college kids, whatever, go to a cabin. Instead of encountering, this is the thing that freaked me out about the first movie, especially though. It was just very different because you didn't have like a Jason Voorhees or a Michael Myers or a Freddy Krueger. You just had this force, and it was filmed from the first person, and with the crazy sound effects, and it would possess your friends. And then on top of that, your friends didn't just turn into axe-wielding maniacs. Some of them would just go batshit and taunt you in crazy voices. Like, it was like insane to me. Like as a kid, I was like, this is horrifying. Like, some of them would try to kill you. Other ones would just sit on the floor laughing at you with this high-pitched voice. And you're just like, and they're your friends though, so you don't want to kill them. So you got that angle to it too. Because, it's Michael Myers or Jason, you're just like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. But when it's like, it's your girlfriend and it's your sister, right. You're like, what do I fucking do, man? So what did you guys think? Please dig in.
Go ahead, Rob. You go first.
Yeah. This is like Dad loves these kind of movies. This has got our dad all over it. I don't remember when I saw it because I blocked out my whole childhood watching movies with Dad when it came to horror. Because like I said, I was scared to go down the basement till I was like 17. So there's a lot that I just brushed aside, but I'm sure my dad and I saw this. Steve was too young. I'm thinking. I know the first one. See, the first one to me was scarier too, Sean.
Oh yeah.
This one was intentionally satirical, right?
Well, yeah. He loved the Three Stooges, Sam Raimi. So that it was perfectly. I mean, not perfectly. What am I saying? It was intended to be slapstick and horror and gore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This it is what it is, man. It's great. I'll tell you what though, not having a score, like Halloween and these other movies, that you got the music, ting, 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 ting.
Yeah.
But when you don't have any sound whatsoever, like if you notice, there's like no sound. And that is so distinctive, and it spooks you out even more.
Yeah,
because it's like it's really happening,
And then when the sounds do kick in,
when they do kick in,
loud, and just blown out that it just,
dude,
jarring.
I listened to every movie at the same volume every time I watch a movie. But I had to turn this one down, man, because the shit was so loud and shrieky and horrifying. I was like, my ears can't take this. Like, I will bust an eardrum. That's how horrifying the sound was. It was.
And remember, I don't know if you remember this, but Maggie and I, when we first hooked up, I would put this DVD in every night, to go to sleep. This is my lullaby to go to sleep at night 20 years ago. And then the only thing that would bother me is when the DVD menu would come on, and which was 10 times louder than the actual movie, that shrieking, I'll swallow your soul, and all that kind of stuff. Dead by dawn, dead. Like, we just play at a high volume. I'm like, oh, it's time to turn it off. It's on the menu. But the rest of the screening, totally fine with. Slept right through it. So.
I think I know why Maggie likes the murder stuff now.
I forgot about his possessed hand. God, that was so funny. It just cracked me up.
Did you watch it with Aiden?
Yeah, Aiden loved it.
Oh,
freaking loved it.
I love Aiden. Is my third son, man.
Oh yeah, he this is like right up his alley. But the mom or whatever the
Henrietta?
professors, Henrietta.
Henrietta.
That was awesome. She was spooky, man.
Dude, so I've watched this movie. This is one of those movies that I've watched more than 20 times. And I was literally watching it again today, even though I'd watched it I probably watched it about 4 to 6 times in the past 2 weeks. But I was watching it again today just to refresh myself in case I forgot anything. And Mason comes out. He's like, wow, you never watched this movie. And but like, so I've watched like all the behind the scenes stuff. So that's Ted Raimi in the Henrietta suit.
Really?
Sam's little brother.
Nice.
And
that's funny.
If you watch the movie, so they show, in the behind the scenes, they show you stuff. There's literally, so that suit, and again, very low budget, but that latex suit, it's all that latex. He was losing weight every day from sweat.
Oh my God.
There's a scene where he's on the harness and he's like swinging around, and you see this fluid pour out of Henrietta's ear. That's sweat. Like, that's not an effect.
Wow.
That's literally just sweat. It's so disgusting when you see it now.
I was like, some of these prosthetics were terrifying too. And then you mix that with the stop motion animation, and it's like, oh my God. And what my favorite thing is Bruce Campbell's like sadistic look, it's like he's smiling, but he's got the blood dripping from his head and his eyes are all
evil,
big.
You're talking about Evil Ash. That's called Evil Ash, is what we call that. When he
just when he's just him before he's evil.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about his facial expressions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that was more terrifying to me than him as a deadite or whatever.
So how many different color of blood was there in this?
Right, yeah, black.
Let's talk about that.
Aiden,
do you know why that is? Do you know why that is?
There's
a reason for that.
Different demons.
No, it was so they could get an R rating.
Okay. Oh, you're saying why they did it that way?
Yeah, they did it that
so they
way
wouldn't have that much blood. Yeah.
Right. So they changed the colors of the blood so they could try to, because you see, like when they pull Jake down into when Henrietta pulls Jake in, and what's her name? Annie Nobi is trying to pull him out by his legs when she pulls him into the cellar, and just like gallons of blood.
Yeah,
that was red. That was red blood.
That was
like the ridiculous amounts of blood in this movie
gallons.
Are so gallons.
That was more than gallons. That was like tons.
That's
I was like, is this ever going to stop?
When you first see that spew of blood when he shoots the hand through the wall, and then Aiden was just cracking up.
It's so funny.
When he was in the rocking chair, and it was just like full on.
Dude, that's why I like. So the first half of this movie, so they condense Evil Dead 1, instead of him and his girlfriend and 3 friends going to the cabin, it's just him and his girlfriend Linda, and they condense all that down where he gives her the necklace.
Forward, yeah.
Right. So they condense all that. But so then he has to. So the only way to kill a possessed body is to dismember it. And so he has to hack her up, and then he buries her, and then then he ends up fighting with her head, and then the Evil Dead gets to do his hand. So like that whole part until Annie Nobi and Jake and everybody show up, there's like a half hour where it's just Ash going insane. Basically, you don't know if anything that's happening is real.
When he's sitting in that rocking chair, just like
yes,
oh my God, this is great.
And he's all his reactions to everything. And this, again, going back to the sound effects, like especially if you have surround sound, they've done a great job, because this came out in mono or stereo, but all those effects really go through your surround sound speakers when you're watching it. And when he's sitting in the rocking chair, and like the deer head starts laughing at him, and he starts dancing with the lamp and all that stuff. And that's like right before everybody else shows up.
Yeah.
Dude, I just love like little shit too. I don't know if you noticed like what early in the movie when they show the car going across the bridge and it's clearly like a Hot Wheels car.
Yeah,
That's so great.
It's like a painting in the background. They just have this
Yeah.
little car, and they do it like twice. I was like, this is such an iconic scene, man.
It is, and it's so genius to do that when you don't have the money. That you're just like, we'll just do this little tiny thing.
Yeah,
Use a Hot Wheels car. And that's
going,
what they did, and it's
going over the valley.
It's a Thomas the Train Bridge with a Hot Wheels car.
Right. Yeah,
basically what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I can see why people love this movie. Like, it is so entertaining, you know. It is so much fun. Yeah, there's always something going on. It's fun to watch.
That you know, when the spirit is whipping through the woods, what is that, like what is it? The you know, that instrument that Aborigines play from Australia, that real one
didgeridoo?
Yeah, didgeridoo.
What?
I wonder if that's what it is.
How the fuck do you know that fucking didgeridoo?
That's what it is. That's what it's called.
He's been waiting years to fucking say that. He's like, oh God, I hope somebody asked. I really hope somebody asked me about that Aborigine instrument.
What are you talking about?
For 10 years.
It's the only one I know.
For 10 years. He's like, Rob's going to ask me what this is one day. Didgeridoo.
Like, Sean's like, yeah, that's common knowledge. Come on.
I used to read a lot.
So you know the background of that, of the Evil Dead. Was it a didgeridoo? That whatever.
I don't remember how they did all the sound effects. I'm guessing no. I do know that like Joseph LaDuca did the score. There is some scoring.
Yeah, there is some, but
I don't honestly know how they got the sound effects they did for that stuff. But I can tell you this about they didn't have I don't even think a Steadicam existed back then, like for the moving shots. So he just had like a plank of wood, like a 2x4 with a camera mounted to it for scenes like that, like where they're going through and then that scene at the end, or towards the end, where the Evil Dead is chasing Ash through the cabin.
Yeah,
they mounted a camera to a bicycle, and they're just riding a bicycle through the cabin as it's chasing him. It's like all these things, all these DIY things they did to make this happen, and then again, all the Dutch angles, all the snap zooms, like where like I love when he goes out to the shed and they show the chainsaw and it's missing and like zooms in.
Yeah.
Those quick snap zooms. That's just so Sam Raimi. And then when you watch behind the scenes too, like one of Sam Raimi's favorite things to do to pretty much all his actors, but especially to Bruce Campbell, who they all grew up together, is just beat the shit out of Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
He's literally just hitting Bruce Campbell with the Linda mannequin or whatever with the chainsaw embedded in her. He's literally just like slamming it into her. He loved drowning everybody in blood. Mm-hmm. He just loves to abuse his actors. It's really funny that he puts everybody through the ringer.
That's what I told Aiden. Like, Aiden's like, my God, he's just getting the crowd. I was like, dude, it's just getting started. He gets the living shit kicked out of him. Like, by himself, to himself. You know?
Right. He has to beat his own ass.
That's the one thing I remember about the movie is he just takes a ass beating throughout the whole movie.
I love how you think Annie and him may make it out alive, but that possessed hand gets her in the end. I'm like, that's
yes, yeah.
I was like, yes. And then they open that vortex, and it's like, oh, okay, so that's where Army of Darkness starts. Is that right? Or
yeah,
I thought I remember him being in was he working in a grocery store or something? Is that how that movie starts?
No, it starts with him being captured by the army, whatever country that's supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
There is an S-Mart sequence in the movie.
Maybe that's it. Okay, that's got to be what I'm thinking of.
It's not at the beginning; it's at the end.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so a lot of the stuff, the techniques that Sam Raimi uses, he invented basically on no money. And other people have adapted it, but I love the pacing of his movies. Like, it just moves. Like Rob was pointing out, it's not always about using score. It's also about knowing when not to use a score.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that worked on that was just super passionate. Everybody was broke. They were just doing the best work they could with the money they had and the time they had. and they turned out this movie that now I was listening to a podcast with Eli Roth and Quentin Tarantino, and they're just fucking jerking off all over this movie. It's just one of the, like Quentin Tarantino was like, he's like, I saw the first Evil Dead in the theater. Like he's like getting angry, like he's like going off, and they're just love these movies so much, and I think they love the DIY aspect of it, that the passion that plays into these movies that really oozes through the screen. It isn't so much about it's not like like some of the Marvel movies or whatever, where it's it's just a project, it's going to make X amount of dollars, it's very workmanlike, it looks great, but these are people that are passionate about filmmaking, trying to do something new and original and unique.
Yeah, like that, like a camera mounted to a bicycle. Like that's just so that's so creative, and it looks so good too in the film. Like,
I want to know how they did the scene in the beginning where he's like flying backwards. When he first gets hit.
When he gets possessed.
Yeah, dude, that's like Return of the Jedi.
Right,
speeder bike stuff, man. I was like, wow, that's not bad. I was like, I was impressed because it went on. It's a long shot. It wasn't just like
right.
They never mentioned how they did that, Sean.
I just don't. I haven't watched any of the supplemental stuff as recently. I've watched the movie 100 times, but I haven't watched all the supplemental stuff as much.
It's just a fun flick, man.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
it is. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's very simple. It's funny. It's gory. It's scary. And and it's over in less than 90 minutes, and you're just like, what the fuck was that?
Right. That's why I was like, I couldn't imagine watching this younger. Like, I wouldn't know how I would have taken it, because I was just laughing my ass off and having such a good time this recent viewing. But I was just like, wonder how I would have taken this. You wouldn't
have went down the basement.
You would.
I can tell you exactly how you do when you watch this film when you were that age.
The first one or the second one?
I don't know. One. Either one.
Well, I remember I introduced you guys to the first one when we lived in Memphis, because that's around the time it started coming out on DVD. So I was like, you got to watch this. And I don't think Evil Dead 2 was available on DVD or on like whatever they call, because they have like commercial home video when they have the VHS tapes are like $90 or $100. So I don't know if it actually hit retail ever. So that's probably why I didn't have the second one, but I'm not 100%. But I remember the first Evil Dead, when it came out on DVD, I was living in Memphis with you guys, and I remember making you guys watch it. I don't remember how you guys reacted to it or anything, because I don't think I cared either. I was just happy to watch it. But I remember making you guys watch it. I think it might have freaked Steve out a little bit, but
there was a lot of
that was even lower budget.
Yeah, I probably would have been scared, because I still get scared today. So I mean,
hell yeah.
I'm assuming I would be. But this one was so funny. It's just like, this is one of the movies that, like, would I have been scared? Because there is some creepy shit, but it's also really funny too. So.
Well, even as so this movie scared me as a kid a little bit. Oh, this is something I remember too. So that scene where they're jumping on Henrietta, they're jumping on the cellar door, and that eyeball goes flying into Bobby Joe's mouth. Yeah. So on the older edits of that, like going back to the DVDs I had, there's literally like a very thin wire that's holding that eyeball, and they used to be able to see it. They've edited out the wire.
Oh, really?
That it was on, but you used to be able to see the wire as it flew into her mouth. And at some point, they went back and they're like, "This is too obvious." There's a part of me that misses that, because I remember it was always so obvious that it was just somebody like holding a wire and running or something. But when I first saw this, I remember I was scared a little bit, but I think the humor landed with me even as a kid. So when he's like, let's watch the first one, I'm like, okay. And then I was just like, this is so much scarier than anything I've ever seen in my life. Like, I couldn't wrap like my 12-year-old brain around it. It's like, I like Ninja Turtles. Like, I don't know if I was supposed to watch this. But yeah, that's what I get though, when neighbors are having, and dude, you know how it is. You get a rise out of it when you show a kid something and it scares them a little bit. That's always entertaining.
Yeah,
can't help but enjoy that.
I think I was less affected by the blood and gore horror, because Dad watched it so much. But the psychological horror is the one that always fucks with me, man. I was like, I can't. Some of those I still have nightmares.
Well, your dad has benefited from all my purchases though, because I know I've given him copies of both Evil Dead 1 and 2. I don't know if I've given him Army of Darkness, but I know that the DVDs he has, Evil Dead 1 and 2, he got from me. Because
Nice.
I've just, again, I bought so many fucking copies. And actually, when I come down to see you guys, I got some extra Blu-rays. So you can have those too. So I was going through my collection. I'm like, oh, these are redundant now. And then this is the wallet I've had for the past year. The kids got me this for
Book of the Dead
Father's Day last year.
That was a good that was a good setup too in that movie too, about the Necronomicon and everything.
Oh yeah, fucking genius. I met the guy, a guy named Tom Sullivan is the guy who designed it. He worked on it in the first 2 movies. And back when I used to go to horror conventions, he would always go to this one called Cinema Wasteland, and I would always go and talk to him. But it was before I actually I have Necronomicons that were packaging for some of my DVDs years ago. But by then I wasn't going. But I could have got them signed by Tom Sullivan though, which would have been really fucking cool. But I don't know if they have Cinema Wasteland anymore. Or if he just doesn't. He used to show up like every year.
Cinema Wasteland. Remember that? Remember that video store that also sold fruit on Britton Road?
Yeah, Britton Road Video. Yeah,
yeah. I was like, what is this? Like right across the street was like Video Time. I was like, who goes to this one?
It sold like porn for like 10 years after they stopped selling regular.
Yeah, it had
they stopped selling fruit. They realized they could make like twice as much selling porn.
Yeah.
Like it turns out, you just become a porn store.
Yeah,
like oh yeah,
yeah. It did have that shady back room. That was, I mean, everyone had the one with the drawn curtain, but this one was extra shady.
So I don't think I ever went there when it was a video. Like we went there, it used to just be like a fruit and vegetable market, and we would go there, and then eventually it became a video store / fruit and vegetable market. I don't remember going there then, and then I think eventually it just became a video store, and then it became just a porno video store at some point. It had a real evolution there.
Got my porn and a banana.
The first video store I remember was on Goodyear Boulevard, across from the Linda.
Goodyear Video, yeah.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
I went there with your dad. That's where you rented Tron and the Transformers movies for us.
It was before there were chains, before Video Time and Blockbuster and all that. They were just like local. So these guys had to like spend like $100, and buy whatever the copy, and then it's crazy.
And then make their money back on. Yeah, I used to go there with
Bumpus
Steve.
Drugstore. It was next to that. It was in the corner there.
No, it was next to Dutz. Bumpus was on the
Bumpus on Talmadge Circle.
But Dutch Drugstore is what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
But Goodyear Video, I could literally tell you some of the movies we rented from there. Spies Like Us, the animated Transformers, Tron, Big Trouble in Little China, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, like like your dad would rent
Sean
anything.
was just so happy to watch a movie.
Yes.
Like, please get me away from my mother, please.
Let me watch movies. I just want to watch movies. That's all I want to do. And your dad was more than happy to let me do it. And I appreciate it to this day.
I wish I would have known how much those meant to you back then, Like I was just like, what? We're going to the video store. But Sean's like, this is something I never get to do.
Oh, it was so exciting.
Where's Steve? Where's Steve? He's in the sewer playing Ninja Turtle.
Steve's in the sewer playing Ninja Turtle.
I was in
Pennywise.
that back room trying to get to the porn.
But yeah, like your dad would spend money and let me pick movies, and I remember I'd stay the night at your house. Everybody would go to sleep, and I'd just be up rewatching movies, because I was just happy to have the access.
Dude, I'm so sorry you never wanted to go home. Like that's so fucked up. That's so fucked up.
What are you gonna do? At least I had somewhere to go. At least I had that. I had something to look forward to. I had an oasis in the desert.
Yeah,
I got to visit.
Dude, I love watching movies together. It was so much fun.
Was I out of the house when you used to stay over there all the time?
You were there sometimes. You were holed up in your room a lot. I remember because I think
Air Supply. I think.
Well, this was back when you were big into like Coca-Cola and Gumby. Whatever age.
Was I living in the basement then?
You did move down to the basement eventually, but I remember you would be in your bedroom, and when you would leave, we would go to your bedroom because you didn't have central air yet, but you had an air conditioner. So we would go in your room and bring our micro machines.
That room was ice, man. It was awesome.
It was frigid. It was great.
So cool. Yeah.
And then eventually moved to the basement, and then Steve took your room. But yeah, you weren't. You weren't around a lot, or if you were off being a teenager in your room. So, yeah, I don't
didn't
know
spend
what
a
you
lot
were
of
doing.
time. I was always doing stuff when I was younger.
Yeah, you were out and about, or
I think
were
you had a
waiting to be out
job
and
at
about.
like 8
Oh
years
yeah, I
old.
worked. I
Yeah.
worked at 15. I started working. That's what it was. That's where I was at all the time. I was working
Yeah,
and going to high school. It's great.
but yeah, we'd wait for you to leave that room though, and we'd be like, "All right, time to go play in the air conditioning."
Bring in all the toys.
Right. Get the micro machines. Go into Rob's room. I don't think we ever got in trouble for it. I don't think we ever messed anything up. So, but like, I just remember, watching the evolution of the posters on your door. Like, I think when I first met you guys, you had a Brian Sight poster, and then like I said, eventually it became like there's always like Cleveland Brown stuff, but eventually it was like Coca-Cola. It was a lot of Gumby.
Rob had a Kirk Cameron sticker on his door.
I believe it. I don't remember that one, but
and then
I remember when he got the Kirk Cameron hairstyle. I remember when he came to church.
Because he liked Kirk Cameron. I remember that sticker though.
80s were rough, man. 80s were rough.
Dude. I used to idolize Michael J. Fox though. Like that, I loved Alex P. Keaton.
Yeah, who didn't like Growing Pains? Who didn't like Family Ties? Dude, that was all great.
Dude, I mean, when you say like the clothes you wear, like the 80s had to be the worst. Like 60s, 70s, 80s. What happened? Yeah. And then 90s, 2000, 80s were just, what the fuck? Who was thinking? Like, look at the shit we used to wear.
Bright colors, big hair,
neon.
Yeah. Real baggy, goofy looking pants.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I want to go back. I miss those times.
Fucking Reagan. I blame Reagan. That guy fucked everything up.
He made everybody insane.
Right. That's why I have to pay taxes and can't write anything off. Like, even though I'm up to debt over my head, ridiculous.
Good times. All right. So Evil Dead 2. It's a 20-star movie. I always recommend watching the first one first, but you don't have to if you're going to watch it. You could just watch this. The second one stands alone. It's the best of the Ash versus Evil Dead trilogy. But they're all good. They're all good in their own way. But Evil Dead 2 is just one of those moments in film history that so many filmmakers look up to and were inspired by. And then Sam Raimi went on to do fucking the Spider-Man movies, and
and he put that little touch in there, that Evil Dead touch in that scene with Doc Ock in the operating room.
Oh I remember seeing that in the theater. I was like, yes, so Evil Dead.
Those quick cuts you were talking about.
Yeah,
that scene is so much scarier than anything in Moon Knight.
That scene is terrifying.
And Moon Knight is supposed to be Marvel's horror.
Don't they have the lady's fingernails getting dragged or something?
Yeah.
I was like,
she's literally scraping the wax off the floor. Like you see it come peeling up. And it's like, oh God.
I hate the nails. Don't touch the nails.
Yeah. It's so bad. It's great. Well, they got a scene in the first Evil Dead where somebody gets stabbed in the Achilles tendon with a pencil. And that's Achilles tendon kills. That's like Maggie's least favorite thing. It's like the hardest thing for her to watch is when somebody gets hit in the Achilles tendon. And this is in that first Evil Dead, they just leave the camera on it, and just tons of blood poured out of it. Very uncomfortable. You're like, oh God, I feel that. That shit.
Was that that remake in 2013 or whatever? Was that any good? Did you watch that?
It was. I saw it at the theater. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't very memorable. It just didn't have that sense of style and humor. Mm-hmm. It was very gory. I guess it was more of a remake of the first movie, which was a lot more serious.
Was Bruce Campbell in it? No. Well, then it wasn't any good.
But there is an Evil Dead sequel coming out called Evil Dead Rise. I don't think that Bruce Campbell's in it either, though. But I'll check it out.
And then Ash versus Evil Dead. That was a good show or no?
That was an entertaining ass show. Especially the first episode was directed by Sam Raimi. It's probably the best episode. But I enjoyed all 3 seasons of that. I watched every episode. I don't know if it's for everybody. maybe it's just for Evil Dead fans, but it's very funny and it's very gory. So it hits on those fronts.
I'll check that out.
Good stuff.
I thought this was great.
Dude, well, yeah, watch the first one. Watch Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I'm going to. I tried to get the
Alright.
first one. I couldn't get it. Is it on Vudu?
Yeah, it's on Voodoo.
It's on his video.
Okay.
I'll bring you a hard copy down to Memphis.
Okay.
All right. So movies for next episode. So I was going to give you guys a couple options here. Do you want to continue with Doctor Strange coming up? I was going to pick another Sam Raimi movie, not an Evil Dead movie, but another Sam Raimi, or The Terminator, or Spawn the movie. Those are your options.
Not Spawn. I just watched it recently.
All right,
What
Rob,
we
do you
got
have
left?
any Terminator or another Sam Raimi movie?
No, I don't care.
Steve, any other
James
input?
Cameron or Sam Raimi?
No, it don't matter.
All right, let me see when the next episode is going to come out.
Have either of you
Come
seen?
out.
Have you seen this?
What is this?
Logan's Run?
I have not seen
Dude,
that.
I used to
heard
watch
of it.
that all the time. Like it's like a 1970s freaking sci-fi. It's not that good, but it was good back then.
Oh, okay.
What
it
else
was
you
one
got?
of the movies I bought and I haven't watched yet, so I was just curious.
Dude, Dad and I've seen that thing like 35 times.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna decide then, and we're gonna continue on the Sam Raimi thing, going up to Doctor Strange. We're gonna watch another movie that I watched at your house for the first time. It's called Dark Man.
Oh yeah,
You really
fucking
like that
love that movie.
See, I didn't think
I
it was,
watched the shit out of that movie all the time. It must have been with Sean because.
Well, you told me about. I remember you telling me about it after you saw it, and then like I don't remember if you bought it or recorded it or what, but yeah, I watched it at your house. And
Oh,
we just
this will
thought it was
be
awesome.
fun. All these memories will start flooding in. Wow.
Yeah, Dark Man, 1990. Sam Raimi's like big debut, I guess. He made the movie.
That's a comic
because
book? Yeah or no?
No, he wanted to make a movie based on an old comic book called The Shadow, which eventually did get a movie with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
But they didn't want that, so he created his own superhero called Dark Man.
Nice.
And that's what I think this will be a fun one as well.
Yes, this has like an opening like The Flash. Like there's like he gets dumped with a bunch of chemicals or something. Is that right?
I forget how he ends up like that. They hook him to his machine or something. I forget what it is.
I don't know.
It's
I'll
insane though.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, so we'll watch Dark Man, and then like I said, I'm trying to stay hyped. Maybe I'll go see Doctor Strange. I really want to go see The Northman, man. That comes out. It's probably out now, but
yeah, I watched that trailer you sent me. It looks good, man.
And eventually we'll watch The Witch, which was the first movie I ever saw by the guy who directed The Northman. That's a good horror movie that I think you guys will like.
Not
A witch.
But yeah, it's I might leave. I would want to see that. I want to see Everything Everywhere All at Once or whatever it's called.
Yeah, with Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, I want to see that.
That looks good.
I want to see like the
explain that to
Nicolas
me.
Cage
I've
movie.
heard
I don't
about
think
that too.
you can. It's weird.
What? Okay.
Yeah, just watch the trailer. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
Okay.
Hot dog fingers.
Okay.
All I can say.
I see why you can't explain it.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is hot dog fingers.
All right.
It's a multiverse movie, but it's like a more unhinged kind of take. It's not like Jet Li's The One. You know, it's kind of, I guess it would be kind of similar to Jet Li's The One. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
But it looks way better than that, though.
Okay.
As much as I love Jet Li. But yeah, it's a multiverse thing. Now, the other movie I was actually thinking about picking that we'll actually get to eventually is Dark City, which has nothing to do with Dark Man, but just a movie I haven't watched in a long time. It's really good.
Dark City, that's the one with somebody Powell. No, what's the guy's name?
Jennifer Connelly.
Is Jennifer Connelly in it?
Yes.
Yeah, she's in it.
The bad guy, though, or the main character, Sewell Pass. What's his name?
Yeah, almost. Keep
He's
going.
the bad guy. He's the bad guy in A Knight's Tale.
This is my favorite part of the podcast.
I think he's trying to say Rufus T. Sewell is the guy.
That's
You got it.
Rufus Sewell.
Let me see if that's right.
He sounds like a blues.
That's his
blues
name.
singer.
You don't have to look it up.
Yeah, Rufus Sewell. So I don't know if there's a T in there. I might have thrown that in there.
Yeah, he was just in something. He was good. I think he played a bad guy again. He's a good evil character.
But yeah, we'll get to that one eventually too. We'll be back next week with our look at Iron Man Extremis.
Yes.
Steve will pick a Flash comic for us.
Very excited. Not at all.
Oh,
I like that you're like sweating this, like it's a big deal.
I'm not sweating it. I want something
totally
to be
sweating it.
somewhat readable. I want you to read something that you won't put down in 5 seconds, and I'm having trouble finding something to your taste.
Why do you keep reading The Flash if it's really bad?
I don't know. I just like the character and the
Then watch the DC animation because he's the character.
I know, that's what I started watching. That's why I like the Flash.
Man, he's so good. They do a good job.
That was the first thing I saw was with those what is it? What's it called?
Justice League.
Justice League, and then Justice League.
That is not.
I started with
you liked the TV show.
Yeah,
that was very first. Yeah, but then I watched Justice League, and then Justice League Unlimited a long time ago, and I really liked that take on him because he was real funny and sarcastic, and I loved that part. So that's when I really got into the Flash. And then, I'm reading some of the comics. They're all right, but there's stuff we've read has been much better, So, but I haven't read it all, so maybe I'll find something next week. Sorry. All right, everybody's tired. The Grizzlies are playing. Yeah. Let's get out of here.
They're getting their ass handed to them.
Oh, never mind.
All right. Well,
let's go on for another hour then.
Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, leave us a review, all that good stuff. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave a comment with your thoughts.
Yes. Tell us how much you love Moon Knight.
Yeah. Give us your feedback on Moon Knight. Make Steve happy. Make him stop crying. That would be helpful.
Dude, you were getting pretty animated there.
Still.
Right.
Well, I don't like being attacked for something I enjoy.
You.
Yeah, you guys are attacking me.
Did you create the show? You didn't create the show.
Yes.
Dude, nobody cares.
You're telling me how I'm supposed to feel. I don't like it. So
I'm trying to figure out why you like it.
I want to go watch the Matrix Revolutions or Resurrections. I'm going to find out if I like that. Do that again.
Better use of your time.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right. Later.